The inner space, our inner space is huge. Of course, we have limits. Our mind has limit, and his mind was different. Then with his presence, we feel, okay, wow, open the mind.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Life with a Lama Healer. Today, we have as our guest Cláudia Proushan. Many of you know Claudia. She was one of the very first students of Lama Gangchen in Brazil, helped found and create all the incredible activities that are now present in Brazil. Claudia lives in Sao Paulo, traveled all around the world with Lama Gangchen for over 30 years. And she's going to share with us some really insider stories about what it was like to be in Tibet in the very, very early days when it was open to Westerners, and then also in Bobador, Indonesia. So these incredible stories that Claudia is sharing with us here today. And she is an accomplished artist, writer, photographer, and teacher. She has written 3 books, actually 2 books. One is about to be born. The first one is really beautiful book. I highly recommend you dive into this book, Himalayas in the Heart of Tibet. Another book, The Light of Galilea, and she has a new book coming out on Mongolia. So Claudia is one of these very rare light beings. That's the best way I can describe her. A beautiful light being. She's just filled with so much light and lightness and ease, gentleness, grace, incredibly strong in her peacefulness. Just beautiful person, and I'm so happy to have her as our guest today. So welcome, Claudia, to our show. We're really excited about this podcast about the life of the great Tibetan Lama, Lama Gangchen Tulku Rinpoche, who was born in 1941 in Tibet and trained by many of the greatest Tibetan masters. He traveled to the West in the 1980s, bringing with him the inner peace teachings of the Buddha. Lama was one of the greatest living humanitarians and spiritual masters of our time, and part of an unbroken lineage dating all the way back 2,500 years to Shakyamuni Buddha. So our vision in creating this podcast is really to preserve and share the remarkable stories about Lama Gangchen's extraordinary life. We'll interview senior students and longtime followers who worked with Lama Gangchen, traveled with him, studied with him, witnessed and experienced his incredible healings and miracles. So these stories, they're really precious jewels and inspire us to really see what's possible when we follow the inner peace teachings of the Buddha. So it's a real honor and privilege to bring these stories to you and the methods that really help us to reframe our sufferings, which brings us more inner calm, the ability to be more in the present moment with less stress and anxiety and fear, and experience more joy in our life and more peaceful in our life and more meaning really in our life. So please stay tuned for our conversations from this very, very rich spiritual heritage coming out of Tibet and the incredibly joyful, inspiring, mind-blowing, funny, touching stories about the remarkable life of a Lama healer, our beloved Lama Gangchen. Life with a Lama healer. Welcome, Claudia. Great to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to see you too. Thanks for your invitation.
Yeah. So many years we've known each other.
Yes.
So many incredible trips that we went on together,
Yeah.
right? Several times in Tibet, Mongolia.
Yeah.
Wu Taishan in China.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to start the conversation this time a little bit different. I'd like to ask you, given that you knew Lama for 40 years? Long, long time.
35, something like this.
So tell us, what was so extraordinary about Lama Gangchen?
I think he was so special in different ways. No, because he accepts everybody. Everybody he accepts. Doesn't matter. Crazy, not crazy, poor, rich, everybody. And everybody like to come together, to come near him. I remember one time we were going to Mongolia by train, and he sits in the train alone, and in 10 minutes start to arrive different kind of people, but local people. Just looking at him, it seems that he were communicating with them. And after many hours, when we arrived at the Ulaanbaatar, he said to us, we cross Shambala. Shambala is around here. Those people come from there, and in a way, they appear near me because they felt something different.
Wow.
They like to talk to him, they like to be together. After we arrived there in Ulaanbaatar, he said, they like to stay near me. They came from Shambala, different people. What is the meaning? Now, Shambala is a pure land and is around there. I didn't know it was around Mongolia or around the place that we passed through by train. And something different, like a mystery, what
Yeah, mystical. So what was so interesting about that, Claudia, is all the legend of Shambhala. Movies made about Shambhala, books written
yeah,
about
yeah,
Shambhala. People say, "Oh, I want to go to Shambhala as it's a heavenly place," and yet there you were with this holy lama, this great being, and he's saying, "You're near Shambhala. You're
yeah,
there." How about that?
incredible. Yeah, yeah, and he used to say sometimes, like in Shambhala. Then we don't know, like in Shambhala, the pure land, fantastic, something very special. And I was curious to know what those people were talking to him. Or even if they don't talk, but just stay together and they feel a kind of different energy because they sit together with him, not together with us. Interesting, no?
Yeah, he was a magnet for people. I
Exactly.
remember one time we were going off over from Italy into Switzerland, the big mountainous road that goes into the mountains into Switzerland. And we stopped at this old Christian monastery. Nothing else was around. And they had a cafeteria. And one of the people that we were with was saying that Rinpoche really liked to stop there for a break, to have lunch on the way, because it's several hours to go. And so we go into the cafeteria to have lunch, and all of these young girls, must have been 100 young girls, in uniforms going to school. And they were probably 13, 14, 15 years old, these young girls, some younger. And there was about 10 of them that just came and sat right next to Rinpoche and looked at him and just kind of hung out in his energy. He was like this magnet for
Incredible.
people, right?
Incredible.
Yeah. But what year was that you went to this Mongolia and this Shambhala place?
This was in 1990.
And what was it like to travel by train at that time through Asia?
Oh, yeah, it was interesting. We from Beijing to Ulaanbaatar. We stopped in the middle. Our luggage didn't come. Then we should stop there and sleep there to wait our luggage from Beijing. Then we slept everybody on the train station because didn't have any guest house, nothing. And Rinpoche, we put in the not
The
chair. Well,
bench.
he slept there, and we slept on the floor until the next day to arrive our luggages. Then we continued to Ulaanbaatar.
Yeah.
It was an adventure. No window, no luggages, but it was okay. But we didn't know how is to travel through in Mongolia at that time.
Yeah, because Mongolia, they had just recently opened up to
Yes,
foreigners. So it was very basic,
very
wasn't it?
basic. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. But your first trip with Lama was to Tibet,
Yes,
right?
it was in 87.
87. Tell us about that. What was that like?
This was incredible because our group at that time was about 20 people. now Lama Gangchen and people from Italy, and I came from Brazil. And when we arrived there, Rinpoche was returning to Tibet after 20 years, and he had the permission to return to Tibet. Then was his first trip. He's returning. Now, a very special occasion for him and for us too. And then we arrived there with Panchen Lama, who was receiving him at the airport, and Landak Rinpoche, one incredible Lama, and all his family. And the trip, we've been around Tibet for almost 2 months, where we've been to Lhasa, to Gangchen, to Sakya, to many different cities and places, villages, and always together with his family. And we had 2 buses. Everything was very organized for us and his family. So fantastic. And they are so touched to see him because almost everybody didn't see him for more than 20 years. His brother and other nephews saw him a few times in Nepal, but other part of the family didn't see him. And it was something that I will never forget. After almost 2 months of traveling in Tibet, Rinpoche was at this day in a room together with all his family. He was sitting in a bed and all his family sitting just in front on the floor. Rinpoche stayed all the time with us, with the group, all the time together. It was something so special, this travel. And in the end, he started to tell one day before leave Tibet.
Wow. They faced just so much difficulty. And it was just probably emotional for them to hear that story.
Yes,
And then also so emotional for them to finally have him back in Tibet
yes.
after all the hardship that they went through.
They were together with him, but with so much respect. It's incredible.
Yeah, this kind of respect is so unusual. I think about the people who are clergy or great humanitarians or people who are priests or ministers or rabbis, or I haven't really witnessed that kind of incredible reverence and respect that you see from the Tibetans towards their lamas. Can you share a little bit about that, what you witnessed?
When he returned now to Gangchen, his monastery, after more than 20 years, came so many people from other villages, and without having cellular phone and post office doesn't exist, nothing, but just one by one tell the others, one tell one friend, another friend, the family, and came from more or less 7,000 people to see him and to receive his blessings. And it was something unbelievable and with a lot of respect. They made a very long line and he just touched their head and one, another one, and more than 7,000 people. And with a lot of respect because the Lama came back. The Lama is again with us. I think it gave one feeling of hope for them, no? Because those people were still living and continuing living in Tibet. And it was great inspiration for them, for all the people. This was in his monastery in Gangchen.
But at that time, it wasn't rebuilt. So what was it like then?
Is one part just completely destroyed and to ruins. But he stay in the mountain. He sit there with always with the Jamian and the assistant, other assistant, Champa and his nephews, and he stay together and they all the time helping. And at that time, Panchen Lama were there because Panchen Lama came to see him. They have this strong connection, and this was very strong meeting now with
These two
All the
great lamas.
yeah,
Yeah. I've seen the pictures, and the energy between the two of them is really
yeah,
electric. Panchen Lama is such a huge presence. Both of them had such
yes,
dynamic energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the two together, we didn't know at that time. Even Panchen Lama, who was Panchen Lama? Oh, incredible! Yes, we felt his energy, but wow, who is Panchen Lama?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
his strong voice and Rinpoche all the time. It's so kind with everybody to receive the blessing of the great, great master, great hope for them, no, for their lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Tonla has been on our show, and Rinpoche's nephew, and he said it was one of the happiest days of his life when Lama came back to Tibet.
Yeah.
And he was saying he was one of 12 children. And when they heard the news that Lama was coming back, he said for days and days and days and days, all night long, we couldn't sleep. All we did was talk about Lama. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's so beautiful because they were so happy, and someone came with horses and on foot and with truck with different kinds of ways from far, from near, and how they communicate, how they know. One by one, they spread the news. The Rinpoche will be here tomorrow, and wow, everybody, everybody was there.
So that's a perfect example of that kind of reverence that the Tibetans have for Lama Gangchen. And I think we developed that kind of respect and reverence for him because we experienced really what he did for our lives and what we saw, what he was doing for all these people around the world. But the Tibetans would travel hundreds of miles in the snow, in the monsoons. Many of them didn't have cars. They'd come on horseback or on foot, and they would make a pilgrimage of it for days. I don't know, maybe some weeks it took them to get there. But that kind of commitment to their spiritual life and that kind of reverence for the Lama is so incredibly unique and special.
Yeah, we don't have this experience until we met Rinpoche. Yes, of course, we have respect for the mother, for the father, or sometimes more or less, but we don't have this, even the opportunity to feel this, or this connection, or this respect. Then we start together with the Rinpoche, then we start to feel and to understand. It comes from inside. It's something so incredible. It was a person so extraordinary. We have this sensation, we have this feeling through him.
Yeah.
And something that I didn't experience before with nobody.
Yeah, me too. I remember one time, it was a few years after I had met Lama, and he came to New York for some meetings at the United Nations, and then we organized some teachings. And one of the women that came to the teaching, she came to my apartment afterwards, and where everyone was gathering after the meetings and after the teachings. And she said to me, "Wow, I really see how you wait on him," in a little bit of a sarcastic way,
Yeah,
saying to me, you know? And I realized this, we don't have this in American culture. Many places in the West, this kind of being that comes into our life where you have this kind of reverence. And I said to her, this man showed me how to be a peaceful person. He showed me how to let go of my stress and my inner conflicts. And I said, I have so much respect and reverence for someone who can show me this. And then fast forward 25 years, I can give hundreds of more examples of that. But that in that moment, I just said, this requires reverence and respect, someone who can give you the gift of inner peace.
incredible.
So you shared Lama's message and teachings with many people in Brazil, probably around the world, but especially in Brazil. Tell me about that when you came back from Tibet, your first trip, and then sharing Lama's teachings with your friends and the Sangha there.
Yes, the center opened at 1988. At that time was few people and was very interesting. For many years we did Waitara, and once in a week or twice in a week We did the sadhana of Waitara, and I did different kinds of articles on newspaper and magazine, did some drawings and watercolor. I like to share with many people. At that time, I had this desire. And then I returned to Milano, and Rinpoche gave me a Tibet guide in English. He gave me and said, "You translate in Portuguese." Then, after a few years, I did a book, but not that Tibet guide. And I think this was a sign. Now, when he gave me this Tibet guide, means you try to share with many people in different ways. This magazine with photos and exhibition. And after he started to do this self healing, this was year 96, I think. Then we did groups every week in the center with the practice of self healing. And this was so good. We were having different practice in the Dharma Center. We did this self healing, and people like very much and start to be involved.
And you ended up writing a book. Actually, you've written two books, right? Yeah.
The first one is Tibet in the Himalayas Heart is the name. And with the photos and watercolor, and there's poems and part of some texts too.
Very beautiful book.
Yeah.
Yes, I have this book. And I remember when I first bought this book and I was sitting in my home and I'm looking at it and the beautiful watercolors and the pictures. You're a very talented artist. The book is very aesthetically beautiful. Your artwork is very beautiful, but the energy coming from this book, you can feel this incredible holy energy coming from this book. It's very special. I recommend all of our listeners to get a copy of this book. Tell me the name again. Say the name again.
Tibet in the Himalayas Heart.
In the heart of the Himalayas.
Yeah.
We'll put the link in the description for our listeners.
Yes.
And then you have another book that you wrote also, right?
Yes. The second one is about Galilea.
In Israel.
Yes. The name is Lights of Galilea.
Lights of Galilea.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And it's the same size, and there's a picture, and the paintings is the same size. It's very nice too. And the third one, I have the only one, the proof now, is about Mongolia. This will be the next. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This will be the next.
And you're going to add some of your watercolors also to this book?
Yes.
Ah, beautiful. Wow. Oh, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you sell your books on Amazon, or are they available in the Nassau shop
yes.
in Albagnano?
In Albagnano, no. In São Paulo we have, but if
São Paulo.
anyone needs, then we can send. In Amazon we don't have, no.
Okay, we'll put a link in our description where people can get your books. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you also have had art exhibits, right? Where you have taken your experiences of traveling with Lama and the Dharma teachings and brought them into your artwork. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Yes, I did in Milan. I did one exhibition in the Via Marco Polo. It was so nice. We used the first, second, and third rooms, the Gompa, and another 2 rooms was nice with the momos and Tibetan food, and with pictures and paintings, and then with the videos about Tibet. That Franco, we traveled together, Franco Ceccarelli, and he at that time he did a lot of movies, videos about Tibet, and he did some special part for the exhibition. Then we did in Milano and in São Paulo 2 times. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And in those days, late 80s and early 90s, a lot of people around the world didn't really know that much about Tibetan culture.
No.
So it was very new for many people, right?
Yes, and that's why this exhibition in São Paulo that I did 2 times, it was nice because in one room, Franco showed his video, and many times a day, people can see the video. Is an homage to Panchen Lama. The name is Lama Doro, Golden Lama. And it was fantastic. It was the name of the exhibition too. Then in one room, then 50 people could see film many times a day. And I show different kinds of object too. For example, one bell, one dorje, because at that time the people never saw. Wow, this was the first time. And yes, and an incense and one tanka,
Beautiful.
and then many
Wow.
articles in the newspaper, a magazine, and yeah, because the people like very much was very much interested to know Rinpoche and to know more about the Tibetan culture, to go more deeply in the culture, and we could share some things.
So when you were sharing to the newspapers or magazines, were you sharing the actual Dharma teachings or are you sharing cultural things
No,
about Tibet?
cultural
Cultural.
things. Yes, cultural things. Because of course, when someone like to know more than the Dharma, then we said, you can come to the Dharma Center. We have some meditation, and this and that. But the cultural things, because it was so new, no? Then to see the mountains and Himalayas and lamas and this in São Paulo, it was so new. Then it was already too much, but in a good way.
But it's interesting about Tibetan culture in that the spirituality, the Dharma, is intertwined. It's so much a part of their culture. Whereas in Western cultures, the religion or spirituality is not intertwined. There's the culture and then there's the spirituality. But in
Yeah,
Tibet, it's together.
yes, it's one thing, exactly. Because we'll see, we show one monastery, the monks and prayers is one thing, is all
Yeah.
together, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fantastic. The people was very touched.
So, Claudia, what was it about the culture, the Brazilian culture? What was it that you think people were looking for? Why were they so interested in these exhibitions about Tibetan culture?
First, because in Brazil, the people are very open to spirituality. Because Brazil have already this spirituality local, but this local come from Africa, from and other religions. This is already inside the people, even if the people don't practice, but it is already inside. And in Bahia is a very strong place now with all these habits coming from Africa and spirituality, like shamanism. And we have different kinds of religions here, and people are very open and very curious to know. They like to see different rituals and things because we have this shamanic energy here in Brazil. The nature is so strong, the sea, the lakes, the mountains, the rivers. Like Rinpoche said, the spiritual side. We have this, but we don't touch. Rinpoche was so easy to be together and to talk and to show the people the spirituality in a so nice way, so light way. That's why all the people came together near him all the time. People come together in a train, in different places because he's open, 360 degrees open. And the Brazilian people, they like very much those things.
Well, in Brazil, you have more meditation, Dharma centers, retreat centers than any other place in the world. Thousands and
Ah,
thousands of
yes,
people, right?
yes, yes.
Participate in the Lama Gangchen's teachings, Lama Michelle, Lama
Many
Caroline.
people, yeah, and the Lama Michel, and a lot of young people too. Everybody is looking for something, for inner peace, for and something to give a meaning for their lives. Then yeah, well, one is curious about the spirituality. Even at that time in the beginning, wow, a Lama came to São Paulo. He came to Club Pinheiros in the news first page of the newspaper. 1,000 people. Then doesn't have space to go inside to the club. Wow, Tibetan Lama. Wow, wow. I like to go. I like to go. Then many people. Then we don't know. Maybe come someone, two people. I don't know, two people, or 500 people waiting there. There doesn't have space for everybody. But Rinpoche, then he has many, this the Dharma Center that Bells organized the house, offered the house, and many people work together. And there is a very strong group together until today. Everybody working together. And even now, Rinpoche is not here in a way, but everybody continue together working, many groups, many projects continue. This is fantastic.
Yeah, the legacy continues, right?
Yes, we continue. This podcast, the things you are doing is so fantastic because this is keeping us together. We continue to be together because we have Rinpoche's energy always with us and inspiring us. It's fantastic.
Really incredible. I've seen other spiritual communities that when the master passes away, that things fizzle or they have infighting or a lot of the activities dissolve. But I think our global community got even stronger.
Even stronger.
Even during the pandemic, every week doing our meditations on Zoom. It was now everyone in person and stronger now, I think, than ever. Don't you think?
Yes. Lama Caroline and keep us very much during the pandemic together.
It
With
was incredible what she did.
Yes, incredible, incredible. And I feel more near to the people, and this is fantastic. This gives us hope. No, now is our time.
Well, I remember Lama Caroline saying that Rinpoche had said to her, I'm going to show people now in modern times that reincarnation exists.
Yeah,
So he's showing us this, teaching us, right?
yes.
Tonla says, I feel his energy stronger now than when he was in the body.
It's fantastic. Yes, I feel too. I feel too. He's with us always, always, always.
Claudia, can you tell us how Lama taught you how to be more peaceful in your life?
I think how to walk, first of it. I don't know why he said the way you walk is not right. I said, okay, but what should I do? He said, you don't walk stable, something like this. He liked to say that the way we walk is the way our mind is. Ah, interesting. Then I start to pay attention in my way how I was walking. After 1 year, 2 years, then he arrived and said, okay, now it's much better. But I said this because I didn't ask him about the peace. He said, I have peace already.
Oh, oh, wow.
Of course, I asked many things to him. Every time before he arrived in the airport, I used to do a long list of questions I like to ask to him. Then, when he arrived in the airport, when the door opened, at that time, I didn't have any more those questions. But this was not only one time.
Yeah.
Many times happened like this. I have, I don't know, 10 questions.
Yeah.
So good. He will arrive today. Then I have
Yeah.
this question. Open the door. He smiled to everybody. Okay. I don't need any more questions. Everything is okay. It was fantastic. Now,
Whoa.
how the energy works. No?
Yeah. Simona actually said the same thing when she
Really?
was on our podcast. She said, I'd make a whole list of all the things I wanted to ask his advice about. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'd get in his presence and I couldn't remember anything. It just dissolved into emptiness.
Yes, exactly. Yes, but even with a list, I wrote
Yeah.
number 1, number 2, number 3.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Gone.
Incredible.
But did you notice that the answers to those questions just came? They just came in either mind to mind or somehow you got a sign that you knew what the right thing to do was. And then you got your answers, but maybe not in the way that you thought you'd get them.
Exactly. His presence and the answer together with this energy that was dissolving this big question I had. Very interesting.
Any kind of worry that we had or fear that we had or concern about making a mistake, or how's it going to work out, or how's my job going to be, or my money, or my health, or my relationship. It was like in his presence, all that fear or worry or doubt just stopped. It just dissolved, right?
Yeah, it's like create bigger space inside us. Of course, we have limits, no? Our mind has limit, and his mind was different.
Yeah, limitless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then with his presence, we feel, okay, wow, open the mind. No, don't need to question and answer. Okay. He used many times this inner space. Now, then inner space is this size from one side of me or from to the other. No, the inner space, our inner space is huge with the meditation and the practice to grow this inner space. I think this is fantastic because life become more easy and we accept more the people and the difficulties, the problems. The peace that he showed me is not to react with the things. We don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this situation. Someone told me something which I don't like. Okay, don't like. But this kind of peace, I think he showed to me. Don't react, accept, wait. Now, this is a special piece, I think. To listen, don't react in a minute. Wait, think. This is not easy, no? But it's like a mental gymnastic, mental training of making the gymnastic bodies, Pilates, and this and that. It's a mind training. And this is fantastic. This is really special because you can communicate more easy with the people and develop more communication, no, with this pause.
Yeah, pause.
Maya mone, oya mone, maya mone, shaja oya mone, oh mone, oya mone, maya mone, shaja oya mone, Maya mone, oya mone, maya mone, shaja oya mone, oh mone, oya mone, maya mone, shaja oya mone, oh maya mone, oya mone, maya mone, shaja oya mone, oh mone, oya mone, maya mone, shaja oya mone,
You're developing patience and you're also developing, like you said, this inner space. And then we can be more mindful about having our speech be something that's helpful instead of something that's harmful. Rinpoche is talking about how our speech can harm and hurt other people even more than a gun. We can cause pain and hurt, really devastating pain and hurt sometimes with our anger or if we don't really mindful of our speech. So I love what you're saying, that developing dharma is mind training, that you're training your mind to respond in a more peaceful, spacious, loving, kind way instead of reacting.
Yeah,
Patience training.
patient training.
But even to ourselves too, don't you think? We have this habit of criticizing ourselves or putting ourselves down, or you're so stupid, or why'd you do that, or you're too this, or you're too that. But even having that kind of inner space can be helpful to our own inner conversation and inner confidence.
Yes, the things became more easy. Of course, it's not, we have many questions, difficulties, this and that, but how someone live without spirituality doesn't matter. Everyone his way, but help us a lot. Everyday life, the Dharma and everyday life together. The spirituality is completely together. And the Dharma, not religion, but the practical things. The Dharma in the daily life.
Just having more spaciousness to respond to situations in our life in a much more relaxed way, in a much more peaceful way. I think about this all the time, Claudia. I look at especially when you're watching the news, I look at people and I think, how do they cope? And I can see why there's so many mental health issues, because if you don't have spirituality in your life in some higher context and higher purpose, wow, it's like a lot of stress and anxiety and fear.
Yes.
Is so heavy. My whole life is devoted to mind training and to practicing the Dharma and living the Dharma and trying to be a good person. But still, I get stressed and anxious and fearful. And if I didn't have a method to transform it, what would I do? What do people do?
Exactly.
So this is medicine, right?
Medicine,
Real
medicine.
medicine. Yeah. So, Claudia, can you tell us about a healing that you witnessed from Lama with yourself or with another person?
Yeah. I like to tell one story about one friend. She lives in Brazil. And this was 30 years ago, 35. She was married for 8 years and she was trying to get pregnant. But it was impossible at that time. She did many treatments here and there, other countries, many things, nothing. Then someone bring her to see Rinpoche. And she said to him, I have this question in my life. I would like to be pregnant. And this is impossible until now. And they talked during this interview, the conversation. And then she told me this was so nice. He looked at her and said, now let's dance. Then he started to walk like dancing, no? And she moved like this, like dancing. Then after 10 minutes, they sit again, continue the conversation. And he said, okay, goodbye. Then she left,
Yeah.
goodbye. And then after 1 month, she got pregnant.
Wow. Really?
Incredible. And this
Wow.
is incredible because so many things we saw this energy. This was his specialty.
His tantric way of transforming
Yes,
energy,
but
right?
just smiling and goodbye. Then after 35 years, then she told me this. I like to see Rinpoche. Then she came with his son and
Her son?
come to see Rinpoche. It was so nice. And he said, thank you. I'm here.
Yeah, I'm
Hello.
here because of you.
I'm But this, she didn't invent this. Was real. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, and you witnessed that.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
incredible. I'm sure you witnessed many. Can you tell us another one?
Wow.
Another story that you witnessed of a healing?
I remember one time in Tibet, in the middle of nothing, we stopped the bus and we start to dance, again, dance. We dance with the Tibetan people of that village. Then we had some chang, the beer, white beer, and dance. And I don't know why. Rinpoche said to us, you go there, just enjoy. He always was saying to us, you go there, enjoy, relax. Something to show, no? Because at that time it was not so easy in Tibet in 87. Not easy because we didn't have food. It was wonderful trip, but we had a lot of difficulties too.
Yeah, no electricity,
No
no running
electricity, no
water.
food, no place to
The
sleep.
roads weren't paved. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think He said to us, now you go there and you dance with them. They were dancing, but just in a simple way. One this side, one very that simple way. Then I think this way he said to us to show and to say, it's okay. We don't have food. We don't have to sleep, but we are happy. We are alive. We are here. Let's celebrate. And I
Yeah.
did one watercolor from that day that for me is the most beautiful thing I did, but is more representative, is more important because that day we dance to celebrate. And then I think there was some healing.
Wow, that is so powerful. I've been reading over the years about what it was like for the Tibetans when they left Tibet. And nowadays you hear about what's the conflict that's going on in Gaza and Israel and Ukraine and so many these kinds of conflicts around the world, and that people they have to leave their country with
Yeah,
nothing.
with nothing.
Nothing. None of their belongings can they bring with them. Even with some people, the family they can't bring with them. Or actually, even all the natural disasters because of climate change that's happening right now. This flooding in Brazil.
Yes,
People
so
just, the
difficult.
whole house wiped out, all your belongings gone. I have to rebuild. But especially for people who have to leave their homelands and leave their families and they leave with nothing. And yet, the Lamas, the Tibetans, they had this incredible way of taking this experience and transforming it and then maintaining this inner joy. Like Rinpoche, he
Yeah,
left with nothing. The family, the belongings, his monastery destroyed, and yet he had this incredible joy. So, this joy of not having any physical comfort, not having a bed to sleep in. And there was very crazy rain at that time when you were there for the first time, right? Tonla was saying that story that they had a drought for 3 years, but then when Rinpoche came back, it was this
exactly.
incredible blessing that all this heavy rain. So here, there you are in a tent that's all rainy or a sleeping bag that's all rainy, no food. So you must have this incredible capacity to be with physical discomfort and yet go into this portal of joy. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Now I remember this trip was for 13 days and we didn't have any food. We had food only for 5 days and no comfort. Sometimes we had this dry cheese and sampa and black tea. Okay, but we had been to this lake at 6,000 high meters, this lake, Oracle Lake.
Oracle Lake.
Then we think, oh, oh, it is difficult here, but it's difficult, but it's okay. But here is to have other kind of experiences. We are here for other things, to open our minds, to open our heart for other things. And we slept in the inside the bus. We slept in the room, everybody together, and with snow. It was cold, and it was not easy, but was the most beautiful, transforming experience, really.
Wow. So you kept that higher purpose, your spiritual development and being with the Lama, you kept that forefront in your mind so that you could endure all the physical hardship. Is that right?
Yes, it was not so easy to go up in the mountain. Someone go with small horses or walk, and it was a long way. Okay, but even we were much younger, but okay, we go. We Rinpoche. We have something to see here. If it's difficult, yes, it's difficult. Let's go. When we arrived there, up in the mountains, that all Tibetans were praying, just looking the Lamolato Lake down. Then when I arrived there, wow, I start to cry. I start to cry so much because is it wow, what is this? Where we are? And the Rinpoche said to us, everybody stay in silence and everyone will see something because this is an oracle lake. But if you see something, You don't say to anybody, this is for you. You keep with you. If you see something, you keep with you.
Yeah, it's like your secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people would see what the future or some
But some,
mystical
yeah,
vision.
no, even a simple thing, or even if we could not say, but we changed our experiences, mystical things too. But interesting, he said, you keep with you. Your experience, you keep with you.
That was something a little hard for me in the beginning when I first met Lama and was traveling with our group, that my culture is, like you said, when something happens, you want to share it with people, or this is what happened. And if you have a beautiful experience, you want to share that also. Some of these experiences around Rinpoche, we all have these incredible mystical experiences. And I wanted to share them. But then I came to learn that around Lama, that many things he didn't really want us to share so much, but just keep it in your heart. It's your experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's also very interesting because one of the inspirations for this podcast was all these wonderful books about the great Mahasiddhas of the past, and The Way of the White Clouds by Lama Govinda,
Yes.
or Yogananda's book, The Autobiography of a Yogi. These books made such a great impression on me when I was first studying the Dharma in the early 90s when I first went to New York. And they go into detail about their experiences and mystical experiences and incredibly miracle experiences some of these yogis had. And so I wanted to have the podcast to be an oral tradition. As many people, they're not really reading books as much anymore, so that we would keep the legacy of Lama alive, in this oral tradition through the podcast. And also to show, our listeners, or for all of us to really remember what a great Mahasiddha, and that Rinpoche was a modern day Mahasiddha. And we're actually going to devote one episode to the Mahasiddha principle. We'll talk about the Mahasiddhas in depth, and maybe you come back and share your point of view about that. But for me, it's always been this balancing act between how do you share some of these miracles that we've experienced, or these mystical experiences, or something opens in your mind and you see something that could be beneficial to other people, but yet then keeping it secret, keeping it that it's yours, not sharing it. Can you say something about that? Because you were such a long time student of Rinpoche's.
I think this in Lamolazzo, he said, this you keep with you. But other experiences, yes, we can share with a friend, with why not? But he likes us to keep the energy. But I think something we keep with us and something we don't keep. And interesting. I did this exhibition in São Paulo. He said to me, "Ah, it's so good. You're going to show your paintings, your work, and this is so good." And he said to me, "You show everything, but not everything." Then, if someone come to the exhibition and see your painting or your picture, and if someone doesn't like your painting, then someone doesn't give back the energy that you are giving, showing one painting, for example. Then, if you show everything, for example, I have 100 pictures, then I will put 100 pictures in the exhibition. No, you put only 90. I understand like this. He said, if someone doesn't give back this energy, then you stay empty inside. Like this, you eat everything you have in your house, but you can keep something for the next day too.
Yeah,
Something like this.
it's reminding me of these words, discriminating wisdom.
Uh huh.
Yeah, discriminating. You discriminate on what you share and share what's going to be maybe helpful, but not everything. Yeah, okay. I'm going to think about this. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, me too. I continue thinking about this. Maybe I understand, maybe I don't understand what he was saying at that time, but we can think about this.
Yeah. It's interesting because Rinpoche, and from the books that I've read, the Buddha had this way of saying different things to different people. They would say if someone had a problem or someone had some challenge, Rinpoche would say what that specific person needed to hear. And he might say something completely opposite to someone else who might have a similar problem because that person has a different personality and different karma. And being able to have that kind of discriminating wisdom to say the things that are going to be the most helpful to people. But when we are doing an exhibition or you're doing a podcast or you're writing a book, you're actually doing it to a full general audience. You don't know how many people are reading or listening or watching. So it's a little bit different dynamic when you have a broader audience that you're communicating with. But good topic for us to contemplate about and to think about how to have this kind of wisdom, right? So tell us about what it was like for you to be in Wutai-san. That was another big adventure that we went on with
Wow.
Lama.
This was the 5 sacred mountains. No, Utaishan means, I think it's 5, no, the meaning. 5 mountains. Unbelievable. Very nice experience. We visit the place with a cave, different caves, different kinds of Buddhas, huge Buddhas in a cave.
This is a very special place. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
about in Bobador? Did you have any special experiences in Bobador?
Uh, I think we used to wake up at 4 o'clock, 4:30, no, to start our pilgrimage because it was so hot. This discipline, it was interesting because we didn't like to wake up so early, but we arrived there. Rinpoche was already there with incense, giving one by one, then to start to go in the stupa. Well, first we visit the elephants, our friends, then we go up in the, and I think self healing, Borobudur, sometimes it's not because only for the hot weather, but it was even difficult for me to go up and up in the Borobudur because the levels, no levels of the meditation, levels of the self healing. You go in one floor, then in this direction, then you go on the first floor, then you go to the second floor. Then for me, sometimes was not easy to go and to follow. Then I think, no, I should have more discipline. But it was not so easy. So, yes, it's beautiful. The place is nice, but we were there for this practice, to receive the self healing and to see the mandala that we normally we see in a book, but the self healing came from there. Then in third dimension, this huge stupa, and then slowly I start to feel more, to feel to go more inside the practice and just beginning so many informations, but it's all colors and movements and mantras and mudra, starting to move inside and to learn more every day. Even in the beginning was not easy for me, but slowly, okay, better, getting better. Because there you live, you are there, the stupa is there, and the self healing is there completely, and you are inside. No, you are not outside reading a book or reading the self healing. You are there, practicing there,
Inside the energy.
inside the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I too felt when I first learned the self healing practice, but even more so in Bobador, because you're not only doing the visualizations and the mudras and the mantras, but you're also negotiating the heat and the walking up at the stupa, which is physically demanding, and all the people and different language, different country. It was a lot to experience and to take in. But as you said, you just keep your mind open and energetically you start to feel the inner change. And then you learn the meaning. The meaning comes after, I think, after we energetically get the feeling first.
And I like very much to be with people and to meet people from different countries and places and languages. I love this. Then I was making the photos there also. In town many times I was around doing photos. But our group growing and growing every time, people from this country, other countries, and this was fantastic. For me, it's already a healing this. The nature and different people. I like very much. And then I understand this, yeah, with people, we put everybody together. I receive, come one, and put one together with another one. I love this. They put people together, and this is also is a healing for everybody. Everybody likes to, yeah, one. It's so good to be together, no, in a way, it's so good, so important, so powerful. Uh-huh.
And also, I think it's so powerful to be with people speaking different languages, different customs, different cultures, really opens your mind to the differences, but yet the oneness that we all share at a really fundamental level.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic.
Open your mind. So, on a practical level, if you were in a situation like you were saying, bringing people together, maybe of different cultures or different ways, some people like each other, some people don't. If there was some kind of conflict in your life, what would be the first thing that you do now that you're a Dharma practitioner and teacher?
I start to make mantras immediately.
And what's one of your favorite mantras?
I like Tara very much.
Tara, yeah.
Tara,
Yeah, so powerful.
so powerful. Rinpoche stay when he was in São Paulo. He stayed in my house during 30 years. Then this was for me fantastic because I think he felt good there. And all the time was people, coming people, breakfast, 10, 15 people, lunch. And all the time, of course, we had a group, everybody working together. But this was so fantastic. And all the time we working, translating, or giving some pills or things that he liked to do
Herbal
to give to
medicine.
the, yeah, herbal medicine. And he used to say, today 20 people for lunch. He say, today is
Right.
coming 20 people. And I like very much. Good, because coming people from many different countries, even Brazil. Everybody likes so much to be together with him. And we look all the time how he behaved and the way he talked to the people and everybody in the building, in the house around, and to help him and his things, practical things. He need this, he needed. We were there all the time for him, what he need. No,
It was just so beautiful to be in his
yeah,
energy.
yeah.
Yeah, and I remember one woman from our group, Gail, she said, when I'm around him, I just want to take care of him and help him. And I found that whenever we were together, there was always this spirit of helping. Everyone just chipped in. Whatever, the cars you need, the food
Yeah.
that you need, the shopping that you need, the cooking, whatever. Everyone just chipped in and helped. Yeah.
And all the time, people come in, one bringing flowers, other bring one gift, or even chocolate. I don't know. But he never had his table in a mess. Never. It's always organized. I never understand how, but it's always very organized. But then, for example, flower, I understand. And then he received flowers for someone. Then next moment, someone arrived that those flowers change. He already changed this and he gave to someone else because the situation changed, the energy changed. It's other thing. But never, never have anything around him in a disorder. This is a good teaching. So interesting.
Yeah, really interesting observation too that you have of this. Wow. Wow. That inspires me to get my office more organized.
Good, good.
I love it. I love it. Claudia, if you had some advice that you could give to other people, because in this world today, there's so much mental health issues and stress with people. And please, could you give us some advice for spiritual seekers?
Think if someone is looking for a master, I think the first quality is the joy that someone has. This, of course, is personal experience, but it's so good to have someone, to seek for someone that you trust, first of all, and that brings you joy. But I think someone who listens to you, first of all, because today is difficult. Now, someone who look at you, look in your eyes and listen to you, where we need so much to say something, to talk, to be heard. And someone who listen to you, listen and to look at your eyes. Something so simple, but very difficult to find, no?
That was one of Lama's great qualities.
Yeah. Really look to you. Look at you, your essence. Ah, I can see you. I see you. I see you and I understand you. I listen to you. This is and so rare. But then in a friend or in someone, if someone has this quality, wow, fantastic. You are lucky. Because nowadays speed of the things and everybody talks, nobody listen to you. You start to talk to someone, then someone the same time talk. Ah, me too. I have this, I have that. But this is the inner space. Okay, someone has more or less, but we should try to find people who has this bigger space and that can see us, can really see us.
Wow, so beautiful. Ah. For me, Claudia, you are that kind of person. Yeah. And I'm really honored to have such a beautiful friendship with you.
Uh,
Yeah. I like to close with a prayer or a mantra, something that we like to dedicate this conversation, that it be a benefit to people around the world, people who are listening. So, is there a favorite prayer that you have or mantra that you'd like to say?
I like to sing the mantra Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha. It's very easy. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Soha.
Thank you, Claudia. Such a beautiful conversation, and thanks for sharing all your incredible stories and wisdom with us.
Thank you for this opportunity, Lila, to be together. So good to be with you, and congratulations and success in your work and all podcasts that continues. Keep us together. Keep the energy of Rinpoche together with us. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Claudia. Cláudia Proushan, a radiant light, a beacon of strength in the still of night. With gentleness and ease she graces art and words in countless places. In São Paulo her heart resides, where creativity and peace collide. An artist's soul both deep and true, with visions bright and skies of blue. Through lenses and brush her stories told, in vibrant hues her spirit bold. A teacher's wisdom calm and clear, guiding hearts both far and near. She builds with care, with love imbues, Lama Gangchen's sacred views. Centers rise where hope can bloom, dispelling shadows, lifting gloom. Her books, a testament to peace, to Tibetan's culture, sweet release. Exhibitions that traverse the lands, bringing light with gentle hands. Oh, Claudia, with your gentle grace, you paint the world a brighter place. In every stroke and every line, a touch of the divine does shine. Well, such a beautiful conversation with Claudia. Really loved her stories, took me right back to these places of Tibet and Bobador, incredible life that she had with Lama Gangchen. And one of the key takeaways I wanted to highlight was her advice to people who are either entering onto or want to deepen their spiritual journey. And to find people or to find a teacher who looks at you, and who really sees your essence, someone who really listens to you. And how she was saying that is so rare to find people like that. And someone who can really see us, someone who you really feel like, wow, they understand me, or they truly deeply listen to me, really get my essence. And her advice to look for people like this. These people are so rare, but to find people like that, because that's what will help us to, evolve on our spiritual path. I love that. It's so beautiful and precious advice. So if you'd like to find out more about Claudia's work, as an artist and photographer, writer, we'll put the link in the description to the books that she's written. And if you'd like to find out more information about Lama Gangchen or any of our humanitarian work around the world and retreat centers, please go to nalso.org. And if you'd like to ask me a question or share a story, please go to lamahealer.com. And if you'd like to sponsor one of our episodes, we're all volunteers. We'd love the support. Please email me at lamahealer.com. We appreciate the support. And so please, in the meantime, before our next time that we meet, please stay well, be peaceful, be happy. Lama Ken.